Hello, hello, hello. How's everyone doing? How's everyone feeling? Ethan, my boy! We're back at it again! We're back at it
Oh,
again, my boy! We're
sorry, folks.
here!
I just had to pause my music. Hey guys, welcome to the podcast. This is number 12
Hey!
now, I think.
Is it number 12 or is it number it's number 11 because we last week's one didn't
No,
work
no,
out
no, no. You
properly.
didn't.
Is it?
No, you didn't
Did
upload
I
number
not
11, and
did I
number
not?
11 was cut
Ooh.
short, like around 40, 50 minutes or so.
Oh,
So
hello there.
technically,
Hello
so
there. Thank
technically,
you
this
for
is
the
number 12, or
follow.
if you want, 11 part two.
No, we'll just make it 11 part 2 since 11 was so iffy. Uh
Your
Way a
internet
melon.
provider.
Thank you for the follow, Way a melon. How you doing? How you feeling? Lava Pancake the Muddy's in chat. What up? I don't know why I went all Detroit type, but what's up? What's up, guys? How you doing? How you feeling? Ethan, how's it been? How's your week been? I know chat has been seeing a lot of me. Twitch has seen a lot of me. I've been streaming every day, but no one has seen a lot of you. What's up?
Oh yeah, that's because dude, my week was kind of boring. Like it was just either schoolwork or like working on things for script class. I did tell you that I had to read. I was reading the script for Arrival, and
Mm-hmm.
honestly, man, like I'm an outlier in that I don't actually enjoy the movie. One interesting thing
How
did
do
sort of
you
happen.
not enjoy the movie?
Oh, dude, it felt like we've had this conversation before, guys. All those who are curious, we've had this conversation.
Wait, but he's entitled to his wrong opinion, chat. Don't roast him just yet.
Um, One semi-interesting thing did happen. Social. We have to, for one of our things for school, we have to shoot a social realist film, and I shot mine in the week. Basically,
Mm-hmm.
mine is about a father who just lost his job, and the film is about the argument that ensues. And it's interesting working with your parents for that sort of thing because you try and give them a role that where they can pull things from. Like you say, you have an argument, they'll really tackle deep into like the behaviors and the words that you would say for an argument like that. Like small things that people do. Like maybe one person will speak with a pitch that's higher than usual to prove a
Mm,
point. And I
mm.
was a bit. I'm gonna be honest. I was a little bit scared as I was filming because of how authentic it was. Like, ugh.
That they would actually be in an actual argument. I understand that. So for everyone that just joined in, I'm Matsubishi. I'm here with Ethan Benjamin, aka Skydrift. Say hello in the chat there so people know what your thing is and that you know
Yeah,
that you the one is speaking. And we are filmmakers. We're here with our podcast. We do this every Friday, or we try to do this every Friday, where we discuss films. We discuss film theories. We also discuss the film that we're currently shooting. Well, we've done shooting, but we're currently in post production for. So yeah, we kind of use this as a way to update the audience that has followed us on our journey on how our film is doing, and also to inspire other filmmakers if they have any questions about films. I mean, we are film students. We're not in depth with knowledge, but as we go on and as we learn, as we shoot more, we start learning more. We pick up things and we start sharing it with other people, and that's essentially what we're trying to do.
I've thought
Um,
about that. Like this whole time. Like we know so little. Like to others it may seem a lot, but we actually know so little. But I
we
can
are.
but I get scared like every time I do these podcasts or anytime I talk to another person about what I do. I have to talk like we're experts, and that scares me because like if I'm talking to a random person, I could make myself sound like an Einstein in the industry when in fact I
Mm,
know
where you
so
actually
little.
just
It's scary. Like I have to talk like a genius in every single conversation.
But you just have to
And on
own your
these things.
craft. You just have to own your craft. For me, I don't find that scary because I mean I've come to terms with the fact that I know that I'm not 100% a genius in this. This is I'm still new to the field, but I know for a fact that what I'm speaking about is from experiences. And if we have pros, if we have people that have been in the film industry and that can correct us on the things that we're speaking about, I mean, we only speak from experience, to be honest. The best thing we can do now is to speak from experience, and that's what we're doing. And if again pros come in and they decide, oh no, this is wrong information and what, they can come in. We will gladly take criticism and gladly over review what we've just told you and be like, oh, this is actually wrong. and this is actually the right thing that happens, But till that day happens, we'll just speak about what we know, and that's the best that again we can do. Um, but yeah,
It's
uh,
tough when a lot of my experience comes when a lot of my experience is formed into cynicism. Yeah, like it's something I have to grow out of. But as I stand now, I can complain a lot about stuff that's happened in our education in film. Like I think first year was probably the worst because not only is everyone inexperienced, but also you get a lot of unreliable people as well, or people you
true,
are meant to
true,
work with
true,
who just don't give a shit. You know?
true. But it it,
Yeah,
it, it
you totally felt
happens.
that.
It happens. People do that all the time, and there's not much we can do until we've actually developed and gone through like the film industry and actually done our paces and done our works. But until that day happens, we're here to give out as much information as possible and hope everyone actually enjoys the content that we're about to bring out. So you were speaking about your realism film. So if anyone doesn't know what realism is,
What
we
social
actually
realism
or
is a
social
distinction
realism
because
actually.
I think the fact that you put anything on film that makes it slightly inauthentic. So you can
Mm.
work to make it as authentic as possible, which is why it's not just called realism,
Oh, some
and why
bots
you
in here
never say a
spamming.
film is real. You always say a film is realistic. You always use an adjective because by definition a film cannot be objective. So it's a term called social realism that you have to apply to certain movies.
Mm.
So and it's mostly, I think it's most apparent when it comes to the cinematography of a film, but whenever you say, "Oh gosh, this film looks like real life," that is similar to what a person would talk about. You can lump that in with social realism. So,
But
do you mind?
again,
Continue?
if it looks so close to real life, there are some films that are actually shot that look so close to real life. But in actual theory, what social realism is taking everyday mundane things in life. Well, not let me not say mundane, but everyday issues that people face, and kind of telling that story through the medium of art. Uh, or like in our case it would be film. So social realism having film like telling real world stories, say for instance one of the social realism films that I just recently watched is the Owl Shaped Room. That is about a French lady that travels to England and like kind of follows her life in England and all the struggles that comes with being a French woman, and also like but it's also set during the times like during like the war, like post-war, some around about that time.
Is it
So
about xenophobia?
no, I can't, I didn't watch the whole thing. I watched halfway and then I
Uh-huh.
had to like prepare for class and stuff. But yeah, it it just follows her story. But social realism films could also, if in our case, since we live in South Africa, social realism film could talk about xenophobia, which is, if you guys know what xenophobia is, help me here, Ethan.
It's the
The
hatred of
the
foreigners,
hatred of
hatred of everyone
foreigners.
outside of there.
Yeah.
So you have immigrants coming into the country, and everyone says, "Oh gosh, they're stealing our jobs. We must kick them out." That's xenophobia.
They took our germs. They took our germs.
Oh, gosh.
But yeah, that will be xenophobia. So what you would do is take that issue and tell it in a as real as possible, using, normally in social realism films, they don't tend to use actors. They have like actual people that uh r- live this life and live during
Most
these
of the time,
times,
generally.
most of the times. So it will be something along the lines of documentary, but without the, sitting down interviews and stuff. It's just a whole story. And when it comes to social realism films, then normally they tend to be shot in a certain style, which is they would use like handheld motions, so you won't see any stable locked off shots. So everything will be handheld motion, probably like steady cams. Everything will be moving, so they would do a lot of tracking shots. They won't do a lot of cuts. Um, the
And
ang
also, let's talk about the aspect ratio as well.
Yeah,
It doesn't use any stylized aspect ratios. It usually just uses like a full framed image, and never does it go into any sort of deep landscape aspect ratios. No one to
exactly,
ones or 4:3s.
exactly.
Um, So because again, we don't see things with black bars at the top and bottom. That's not
Yeah,
how
we
we see
see
images.
everything with like a full frame. And then they would use shots that like shot sizes that are like that help emote that help intensify the emotions, like when the character is going through some hard times and you want to see like the change in emotions, they would always cut to to a close up, and they will only use close ups for emotions. And then when it cuts, when they want to talk about like the character's actions and what, whenever they're doing actions, they will always cut to a medium shot, and then from there on they will just like tracking shots will be probably wides depending on the director and the DOP what they discuss. But essentially that's what a social realism film is. And we were tasked to have like do our own social realism film, like a, it has to be a 1 minute film,
2
and
minutes with
or
only
two
family
minutes
members as
with
your
only family
actors.
members. So like for like we have to um create this, and for me I found it kind of hard because I didn't know what issues I should tackle, especially like during corona time and stuff. So I decided like if I would do something like that, I was inspired by the what was it, the South Park special, which was really funny. The recent one, the pandemic special. And like since I have like younger brothers and they also attend online schools, or they did attend online schools, I wanted to see what is their experience like whenever they have to wake up in the morning and brush, like do their whole morning routine, and then instead of going to school they would go sit down in front of a desk and you know, do online learning. So I wanted to see how that differs, like just to see the differentiation between that, going to school and also sitting down and doing your online classes, which is quite interesting. After speaking to my brother about it, because I mean, each child has a different experience when it comes to online learning and how they prepare. Like I know for a fact there'll be times when I don't see my brother for the whole day, and then I only see him like in dinner because I'm sitting in my room doing my own online classes or probably streaming, and then he would be in his room doing his own stuff, also watching series. I know he watches a lot of series sometimes, but like he would sit in bed, wait for his class, and then watch a series, and then go to his next class, and then sit at his desk, and then do his class, and then he would go back to he would go back to bed, watch some series, maybe go down for dinner, come back, watch some series, and then go to class again. So that cycle, and I wanted to like comment on that cycle and how weird it is
The
compared to
hermit
being,
life.
yeah, the hermit life compared to being active, like him actually going to school. Because I remember he used to wake up early in the morning. Um, on some days he would cycle to school and then have a like a draining day probably, or a good day, see your friends and all that, and then cycle back, you know, or do extramurals and then cycle back home, and then like see such a high contrast from doing all those extra activities to now waking up, getting, I mean, you don't even need to get dressed anymore. Just wake up, sit there, do your classes, come back, go sleep, wake up, do your classes, go faff around somewhere, come back, go sleep, you know, that type of cycle. So I yeah, again, I wanted to comment on that in my social realism film, just to see like the differences between that cycle and what was before, you know, corona and stuff. But that's what
You
I've
know,
been
we could
working on.
we could just like have an entire podcast talking about our assignments.
Yeah, we could, but no, 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 no. I don't want
No, we're
to.
not
I don't.
gonna do that. That's
We're not gonna do that.
anecdotes only. That's weird.
That's so weird, and we already, our assignments are already hard enough that we have to think about them off stream, and now we have to talk about them in stream. Or you're just gonna be met with hatred and frustration. But yeah,
Uh, I
um,
don't think some assignments are that hard. I think some of them are just a lot to do because
yes,
we're
that is
so
true.
used to not doing. Because So it's like going back to high school, because high school we got used to having a lot to do, and there was kind of like a break since we got to homeschool because a lot was more practical. And now that we have extra homework to do, a lot of people are like, oh, because again we fell out of that habit, you know.
Yeah.
Like I remember so many times Jesse was complaining about the prep work we had to do for script class. It was like, come on, dude, it's homework. You're crying because you have homework to do. No, I felt the
Oh
same way too. I just
no.
didn't. I just didn't vocalize it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel the same way. But what's different now is that with this work, you don't necessarily have to. I mean, you do have to put in the effort, but it's not like you're doing work that on something that you don't like. You know, you always
Yeah,
doing you like the things that I'm doing. I quite enjoy what I'm doing, like very much so that it doesn't feel like work. And because I'm really passionate about what I'm doing and I really enjoy it and I kind of know enough about what I'm doing that when I have to do these assignments, it doesn't feel like assignments, you know? It just feels like work that I have to do, extra effort. But yeah, you have to put that extra effort. So it's like a downside as well because now I feel like I'm too lazy to do this. Like I'll put it off because I'm like, I know my work. I'll do it later. I know how to do this. I'll do it. I'll do that some other time. You know.
right. Guys, I'm just letting you know. From starting from now onwards, I probably should have been doing this more often. But a day before our podcast, I'm going to put something up on our Instagram, just like asking any questions you may want to have for the podcast, or again,
Ooh,
just keep using
yes.
chat because try something I've been doing from the start. Only sometimes I've been doing that on the status before our podcast. I should be doing it a day before, but I think it's good if we have some questions that we can that follow out on our podcast. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, if you
As for
guys
the
are
rest of the
interested.
actual, so go on, go on.
No, I was saying if you guys are interested. Also, I have put in the channel points. You can use the ask me anything film related, so that we can actually sift through and see which ones are film related questions and which ones are just comments that you just want to make. So please use those wisely, and use them to the best of your abilities. You know, if you do have questions and what's not.
Okay, sweet. About the series itself, like what said, we're in post production now, so we're still getting our rough sorted out. We do plan on getting stuff done with our graphic designer. I think it was a bit difficult to reach him from times, but
Mm-hmm.
that is still our plan. Now, do you wanna jump right into this? Because do you have any more input on our last podcast? Considering we cut short, because we were talking about criticism, feedback, and Tarantino. I remember Jesse made that point about Tarantino being faithful to the old Hollywood and how he hates digital, and saying that people should go back to film. Do you have any thoughts on
Um,
that?
See, my thing about film at the moment is that it's grown so much and it's turned into such a such an interesting um and such an easy industry to actually kind of capitalize in that if we were to go back to film, you're kind of restricting the amount of people that are able to like express themselves through the medium of film.
Yeah, because film is damn expensive, and like
It's film is actually expensive, and
getting a
also
film
buying.
camera would like, gosh, those getting film cameras. I think those I
But I
don't know if
mean,
they can last as long as digital
it's
cameras. I
also
mean,
it's
they'd be
also
obsolete a
cheaper.
lot. They'd be obsolete like a lot less sooner than digital. But still,
It's also cheaper. It's cheaper than to shoot a feature film instead of using a massive Sony or an Alexa or the what you call it, the Panasonics and all that big boy gear. You can use a film camera and it's way cheaper. But the downside is that film cameras aren't that easy to come by, and post production, I think post production houses that deal with film and convert film into digital or like clean film, those are also quite hard to come by. And the price of cleaning the film and stuff is also very expensive, and converting the film into digital also gets really expensive. So it's a luxury that some filmmakers can get. Quentin Tarantino, by all means, go shoot your films in um like go shoot them with film. Go shoot all your films in film in old film reels. But um, but don't like I don't think it's a good idea that all film goes back to all movies shooting. Let me just say, all movies go back to shooting in film because of the fact that it's such a it's such an expensive media. Well, for the lesser by
No,
lesser I mean
it was
I mean people
expensive
that
back then as
can't
well. Like it's
that
time
aren't
consuming to get the
filmmakers.
film processed into actual reels and then duplicate that as well. And post production with actual film was a nightmare. I'm sure you saw
Yeah.
Corridor's most recent video about the Tron movies, like the old one from the 80s.
Yeah, they had to draw over film. Each individual like VFX thing that they did, they had to draw on, which is a nightmare. I don't think I'll ever do that. Like I don't even know how people did that. It's so much extra work that you have to do. But they did it.
Yeah, they
And they also had
yeah,
like a
it's not
massive
people now
team of
because of
people to do
necessity.
that with.
Yeah, I think they did a similar thing with Star Wars as well. Like, I don't know if they had another video about it, but you know how when they had those the space battles, they actually had a green screen. No, it was a blue screen, and with each single frame, they actually had to mask out the shape of the ship
Yeah.
for every single frame.
Yeah.
And then that I think beyond just normal film, they had to lay like 3 or 4 different layers of film on it just to have that ship flying in the background. So
It
and
just
again,
sounds like
it wasn't even like an actual element put onto. It wasn't an actual element put onto video, but it was actually a sheet of film that had a cutout of the shape of each ship. So you can imagine how much time that would take.
it just sounds like extra effort and extra yo, it just sounds like a lot. But again, I do think that when it comes to film, when it comes to shooting films, the digital age has made it easier for new filmmakers to come in, easier for films to have new techniques. It's easier to like if you think about it, if we still were shooting on film like old timey exposure films, we wouldn't have had new technology such as the GoPro or smaller cameras that allow you to kind of rig the camera and do new things. So, like, say for instance, I'm gonna go back to the GoPro where you can have a waterproof camera that can sit on the talent and you can take it almost anywhere. You can rig it almost anywhere, and I don't think we would have had that same success with film cameras. You know,
Yeah,
we wouldn't
that's a whole
have
other beast.
esports. We wouldn't not esports. We wouldn't have had extreme sports. We wouldn't have that, and we won't have like content for that, and it would have been way harder to shoot something like that. So I do think it's good that technology has come this way, and new filmmakers are coming out, are emerging because of this. The fact that they are able to take their phones and they're able to shoot on like their phones and make amazing movies. There are some feature films that are out there that have actually won awards that were shot on their phone, like iPhones. And that technology, that ability is so good. Like, and the thing is also Quentin Tarantino. Oh, like every film director started off with shooting on their small camera, like a homemade videos and stuff. I even started shooting like on my DSLR, small camera and homemade, and then I moved on to shooting on like bigger cameras. I still come back to shooting on my DSLR. I don't shoot as much because of lockdown because I've been trying new things, but
Mhm.
I do still shoot like as much as I can. I shoot all my projects on my DSLR. I know some people shoot on their iPhones and they like create some amazing footage. They like content. They have some amazing content because of new technology. But yeah,
Yeah,
that's my 2 cents on
yeah,
Quentin Tarantino and what he thinks. He's an amazing director, though. He is very good.
yeah. I think it mostly comes down to the whole bit. Just like we touched on the previous episode, it's about wanting. It's about wanting to go back. It's about the good old days. It's mostly nostalgia at this point.
It is
And I've been
definitely.
thinking about that a lot. Like, people want things to stay the same, and sometimes change and evolution. It can be difficult to adapt to, and it can be sad to go away from. Like I miss the days of playing on my PS2, but
But the PS5
I
is
don't think I
coming
wanna,
soon.
I'm not going to buy a PS5, dude. Who
No,
here's
you
going to
have.
buy a PS5?
I'm not gonna buy a PS5. I'm
I'm not
already a
going to shell.
PC main.
I'm not. Yeah, exactly. I'm not shelling
I
out
don't need
10K or console. I'll only play like 3 games. I'll only play with 3 games,
exactly.
if
But
even.
people do that. People love buying the new consoles and stuff. But I'm not a fan.
Well,
I
they
don't
have
think I
deep
would be.
pockets. And again, it's all about like what people thought of in the past, and because they're old souls, they have trouble changing their ways. It's like if I talk to my grandparents about something, their values will be hard to shift because they're old souls. No matter how many times you argue with them, and a lot of people think that about old cinema. Like there's this old mantra that I think a lot of philosophers would have come up with. Maybe, I think especially like French filmmakers and stuff. The whole thing that say film is truth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, I don't think I agree with that anymore. Like I understand why that was the case because people were first adapting to film. The first ever film, or like films back then, they were more simple because they were still figuring out the technology. Like one of the first films ever made was just a train going through a station. Then they made other movies with all those sets and stuff, and a lot more movies try to talk about the humanity of people and the life that exists and the art that exists in real life. And only later did we start coming up with these very out there concepts about spacemen and aliens and, things that just seem like they come out of a fantasy novel.
Mm.
So the mantra that film is truth, I understand why that was the case. And you can agree with that. But personally, I don't think that anymore. To me, film can be whatever the hell you want it to be because I think just to today think that film is still truth, it feels a bit naive because it even goes back to what I said earlier. There is no such thing as objective filmmaking. Film can represent real life, but again,
It can
it's
never be.
represented through yeah,
It
but
can
it's
never
again
be
it's
real life.
yeah, it's through a point of view.
Exactly.
Therefore, film is not truth. Film is what you may perceive to be true, which in some ways is not truth. It's perspective. So when you can agree that film is truth, but I think film is whatever you want it to be. It can be fantasy. It can be propaganda. It can be literally anything.
Yeah,
And
I
that's
I
where I
I do
stand on it.
agree. I see film as the young, like, out of all the art mediums, I see it as one of the youngest art mediums because it's not film's not even that old. How old is cinema? Like, when was the first film made? I
Could
think,
be like late 1800s. I'd have to check.
yeah, but it's somewhere around that time. Whereas, and comparing it to the medium of like drawing and art, like fine art, fine art, like kind of developed from the caveman drawings. You know, that
Mhm.
was one of the first forms of art, and art was used to communicate and to represent reality, like to communicate like experiences and stuff. Um, the experiences of cavemen, the experiences of like their daily lives, what they've seen, what they caught, what plants to eat, what plants not to eat. They kind of communicated, and even stories. Like they communicated that through their cave drawings and stuff. Um, but as time carried on, you started seeing artists come out and using art again through the movements of art. You start seeing art developing, um starting to kind of tell stories in a subjective way, you know kind of representing moments in life instead of actually using it to communicate information. It starts becoming what the artist feels, especially like one of the great examples is during the Renaissance era, um when humans started seeing themselves as the center and strayed away from seeing God as the center or religion as the center. They saw the humans and they were like, "This humans are the center of everything." And then you came with like egos started developing and all that stuff. But artists started seeing themselves, like seeing humanity, and they started drawing humanity in a different way. You have, and like compared to what um like, how do I say it? Compared to like the Roman era, or the time before the Renaissance era, where you like the you would get kings and queens requesting artists to draw them, and they would draw them in such a way that it looks like they don't look the way that they are depicted like in real life. I know for
Uh-huh.
a fact that uh what Napoleon was depicted to be so massive in his artworks, but he's not actually that tall. He's actually really short, but he was depicted in such a way that this guy is larger than life. And
I think, well, that's because like a lot of people like that, a lot of royalty, a lot of big figures, they commissioned artwork and they wanted their artwork
exactly,
to look how people how he wanted their art to look like how people wanted to see him. It's not just about what people saw; it's about what people wanted to see. It's what people wanted to see and what they wanted things to look like. You know, you could
but
look at you
again,
could look at a painting of like during the French Revolution. It may the French Revolution. It was a horrible it was a horrible time. It was a horrible place to be. And when the bourgeoisie when they uprose
the
against
bourgeoisie.
against the
I love
monarchy,
that word.
they were felt glorious. And the
Mm.
end result may not have looked exactly like the paintings, but there's that whole painting of I think it's that woman holding the flag.
But
That
it's a
looks
representation. That's that. But
yeah, it's representation. It's what people wanted to see or how they felt, but not necessarily what it looked like exactly. So it's
exactly.
what it's that's the idea of commission.
Mm.
It's what
But again, now that we're looking at form, we kind of have to treat that the same way, where form has stopped being um like used to communicate information and to show that this is what was going, like this is objective. It started now becoming subjective now that people have adopted that and started telling stories. They started telling stories about the experiences and also about like the world around them, and then it started developing into something like that. And nowadays, like you said, it's hard now to find film that is objective. Like all film is now subjective because you can never have a true representation of life um because of now because art is a medium used is an because film is an art medium, and people who tell that art medium, like the artists of that medium, are actual people telling their emotions and are actually telling their stories. It will never actually be a true representation of reality. It always will be a subjective view. Even documentaries will always be a subjective view. There will never be an actual true representation in a documentary or any
mm-hmm.
other film medium.
Yeah,
But
that's
yeah,
right.
that's a little
Yeah,
bit of a tip there about film, guys. If you guys are looking to make a documentary or something
yeah. Treat it as any other. Treat it,
like
yeah. Documentaries are actually like a very big culprit of subjectivity. And I'm sure you can extrapolate just how
Mm,
just if you just spend like 5 minutes thinking about it. But yeah, take film as any other art medium. It's used to put what they want to on screen so that other people can see things from their point of view. Again, it's
exactly.
still a point of view. It's still perspective.
But I think the good films out there, they tell you a story from multiple perspectives. I know Jesse spoke about this last time. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if it was in the last podcast or before, but
It
a good
was.
film, yeah, but a good film tells a story from multiple perspectives. Thus, like that's you can like the closest you can get to reality is by showing as many as many perspectives as possible without also oversaturating the film. We want to stay away from that. We don't want to tell too many stories that like the viewers don't know what they're looking at. But also we don't want to tell too little stories. Or I mean, you can tell too little stories if you want, but you also don't want to like um tell too little stories where you're just following one person blindly and you don't want to, if you're aiming to have a film that is as close to reality as possible.
Well, you're stretching yourself too thin. It's the same reason why Game of Thrones would have never, even the first book never would have worked as like a
Mm,
single feature length movie.
yeah,
Too many people to follow.
exactly.
Uh,
But yeah, that yo, dude, we just dove into this this idea. We did have what I just
yeah,
lost my words
I
here. I lost my words.
want to talk about the thing we spoke about earlier today.
Yes, yes,
Yes,
yes.
guys, I want to do. kind of discuss film and TV, and I'm sure you've seen like some videos pop up in your YouTube feed about how, and I'm sure you've noticed it yourself ever since like the turn of the century, maybe like film and TV, they're kind of merging. Like the biggest, like the most obvious example, I could probably come up with a better one given time, but the most obvious example I can think of is Sherlock. Now that may seem a very surface level comparison, despite the fact, considering that each episode is just like the minimum length of a movie itself, but it does still illustrate my point. I remember our lecturer, our script lecturer, he also spoke about this. The different kinds of TV shows. You get your different types of series. You get the series that are just one-off episodes, like your CSI, and then you get ones that are serials. Which is when a story follows throughout the entire season, throughout the entire show. It's just one whole story. Think Breaking Bad, think Better Call Saul, something like that. And he mentioned about A plots, B plots, C plots, and how they all, wherever they all have their own weight to them. And this really shows just how much the medium is evolving. Just like our film is came out of fashion a long time ago. The things which we watch, they've also been evolving. And honestly, I think COVID has really like actually shown just how prevalent that was. Guys, how often are you guys watching streaming series nowadays? Like ever since you've been in lockdown, I'm pretty sure it's
I've
a
been
lot more.
streaming a lot more series. I've been watching so much more series.
And surely, since you spending more time watching a series on a streaming network, surely you're a lot more open to the idea of watching a story that follows throughout an entire show and less inclined to watch a show that just has one episode with a one-off story, like your Big Bang Theories or like your CSIs or like your Criminal Minds.
Yeah, I honestly think that um as film has developed and people's preferences have developed, like online and also online video content, like video on demand, has also grown. I feel that films, like actual movie blockbuster films, even though there's a market for them and they're actually going out, and I don't think they will ever be dethroned, because there's just too many cinemas out there, and the culture for cinema culture is so big. But I do think that filmmakers are taking the opportunity to shoot and to do bigger stories and have more in their films, um with, like, by, how do I say this, by taking their ideas to video on demand and having them into episodic ideas. So like shooting a whole massive story in about 3 episodes or 4 episodes that is like an hour long. Because I know for a fact I've been watching. Um, I did watch the Sherlock Holmes. Sherlock Holmes is one of the good examples of that, where it's, I think it's 3 or 4 episodes, and it's just
Yeah,
one
yeah.
massive story. But they decided to cut it up into 3 or 4 episodes, and it's like half a movie long. You know, each
Mhm.
episode is like an hour or half an or hour and a half.
No, 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 no. Each episode is the length of a
Oh,
movie.
is
A
it?
lot of
Is it
shows
two
on
hours?
Amazon. No, it's like an hour and a half
Oh,
or
an
like an
hour and a
hour and 20
half.
minutes. Most shows on Amazon, though, well, some shows on Amazon, those are 40 minutes to an hour. Like an episode of The Boys will run you an hour.
Exactly. But that ability to now kind of be able to expand the lengths that series can run and make them as long as feature length films, kind of allows, again, for more stories, for like more consumption of stories and all that stuff, which is pretty cool. Like, I enjoy it. I enjoy that, the fact that they're not limited to having a story that is that is only a couple minutes long, or like, how long is it? Probably a series is like
Usually, like the episodes are usually like 40 minutes or
40
so.
minutes. Having a series that's 40 minutes long, and now you're able to have an even longer series, so that you can sit down and actually watch the whole series.
Yeah, the thing with that, every opportunity presents its own risk, and like you said, they aren't just limited to trying to condense a story in 90 minutes, and they have the
Mm.
breathing room to make it to make a 10 episode season with 40 minutes per each episode. But it does come with risks. I can't think of any personal examples myself, but surely you've seen a series where you felt like the content was just bloated and that it would have worked better in a movie or in a trilogy. Surely you've seen
Um,
something like that.
have I?
I'm picking up examples of stuff in my head, but have you?
Um, I've felt that a little bit. Oh, there was a series that I can't remember the series, but I felt that a little bit in the DC series. I'm like when it comes to superhero series, I'm sorry. I enjoy watching it in the movie format. Like I want more, but that's because I'm greedy, and I just like it consuming more. But I saw that in like your DC series, The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, Arrow and stuff like that. I'd rather have it to be like um I wanted more out of them, and I also wanted to be the series to be a little bit longer. Like want the episode to be a little bit longer so that you can fit like hard grinding stories into it. But hey, I didn't get that. I didn't get that.
Okay, I think I just thought of an example. Mr. Robot is a cool thing of like trying to make a movie trying to take a similar movie format into a series format because I honestly think they had a budget. Usually TV shows have smaller budgets than full feature films, but
Mm,
I'm assuming I'd have to look up. But it feels as though they had an appropriate film budget for the series itself because the production value is very high. The cinematography matches that of a movie. The performances, the music, everything makes it seem like it was a feature film that kind of worked better as a series, and
mm.
I'm kind of grateful for that. But in terms of like shows that feel bloated that would have worked better in a movie, an example comes to mind: Stranger Things. Now, I don't like Stranger
Oh,
Things. I like the
how do
first
you
section,
not
but
like
it did not
Stranger
need. But
Things?
it did not need to go beyond season one. Okay, it could have ended perfectly at season two, but now they're going for a fourth season when season three had some finality to it, which I think was stupid.
Mm.
And season three, it felt bloated. Like for real, it felt like season three and maybe even season two. Season one was fine. I think those felt like they could have fit in comfortably into a movie, maybe a little over 90 minutes. That's what it felt like. But because they wanted to continue the story, and because they wanted to continue the story, and because it was already a series, they couldn't turn back on it. But
Mm.
for real, you've seen season three, have you?
I have seen all the seasons of Stranger Things. I quite
Didn't you feel it
enjoyed
was
it.
bloated?
I
Yeah, but didn't
didn't
you
feel
feel
like it
season
was
three felt
bloated.
bloated?
I didn't,
Okay,
not at all. I thought it was really really cool. Hey Ryu, I see you in the chat. How you doing? Are you good? You good? Um,
Rudis.
it's Ryu. It's one. He's in chat there.
Just
Say.
repeating his line.
Um. So yeah, I enjoyed Stranger Things. I do think that um just the way if I do think it would have been cool if the series was a how do you say if the series was in a movie and like a not even like a short movie like an actual a good movie more round about the runtime of Avengers Endgame type of length. If
Was
Stranger
Endgame
Things
2 hours or was it traditional like that? I don't remember the length of
no
that.
Endgame was like really long. Endgame was like 2 hours, 2 or 3 hours,
Yeah,
something
but
like
I
that.
think I think you say that under the assumption that it would keep everything in season three, all the content. But I think there's
Yeah,
some
yeah, yeah,
stuff in
yeah, yeah.
season
No,
three
no,
could cut out,
like
obviously.
if yeah, you could still cut out some stuff, right? But I'm just saying if it carried on like that, um, and each season was its own standalone film, I do think that it would still make a really good film if it had Stranger Things 1, 2, and 3, and then they would just do the whole season into one. It would still work out, but at the same time, I'm glad that they also did it as a series. And for me, it did feel like a movie because of the ability to binge it. So I could binge each individual's episode, which is kind of like dumb because you're releasing a series with each individual episodes, but then you're releasing all the episodes of one. Why don't you just do one massive movie? You know. But again, they do like a series has its own format, and movies have their own format, and they probably can they probably had more freedom in their series than they had in their films,
Mm.
than they had in their what you call it in films. You don't have the same amount of freedom you have in films that you have in series. But yeah.
Well, I think that's changing considering people have notoriety now because the guy made Mr. Robot. He didn't just make Mr. Robot. He also made a full-length feature film. It's this movie called Comet. I liked it, and you can see it's very similar. It has some parallels between that and Mr. Robot, at
Mm.
least in terms of like cinematography. But notoriety gets you places, and you can do a lot with the TV series if you are if you've built up a reputation, people know you are. It goes back to the conversation of David Lynch. David Lynch made Twin Peaks. I've only seen snippets of that show, but it is flipping weird. Like I think if any other director presented the script, the exact same script to someone else, who knows if it would even have been made. That's
Mm.
another question of, oh, and by the way, I just checked out. I'm looking at IMDb page now. Avengers Endgame is 3 hours. Is three
Yeah,
hours.
3 hours long, dude.
Hey, no, yo,
Three
yeah,
hours
that
long. I
Endgame
sat
felt
through that about 3 times.
You serious? Like
I'm being
Endgame
serious. I watched
Endgame felt
Endgame
a bit
three times in the cinema.
Endgame felt a bit bloated. It kind of felt like maybe Endgame should have been split into two movies. Like it should have been like three people,
No,
part one,
no,
two,
no, no,
and
no, no,
three.
no, 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 no. Endgame was fine as it is. Leave it alone.
Really?
You're entitled to your own wrong opinion. It's all good,
So
you know.
this
But yeah, that I think it like when it comes to series that could have been um that could fit the movie format. Stranger Things is possibly one of them that could actually fit in the movie format. Um, Mr. Robot again, one of the things that could fit in the like the movie format. But
I don't
the
think
thing,
Mr. Robot could come to. I don't think
I
Mr.
think it
Robot
would.
could have actually been a film. I really don't think it could have. Like the fact
Don't
that
you think so? Why?
I personally don't like. I think the runtime I, I think Mr. Robot actually a lot of the stuff it gives you the show didn't feel that bloated. So I think it fits comfortably into the whole series format itself because we spend so much time with Elliot. We actually start caring about him,
Mm,
and the story itself it's much longer than a film. And I don't think I would have been as invested had I had to know the full story. I would have ended up watching 4 or 5 movies. I don't think I would have been fully invested.
true. Okay.
I probably would have put around like
I mean,
Mr. Robot
it does
3,
it does make sense. It does make
the
sense, but
final reckoning.
but I do think, in my humble opinion, I do think that it could have actually fit into a movie. But one of the things that also is very interesting in Mr. Robot that the way I watched it episode by episode because it was released before the time you could binge everything. You know, the first
No, it
episode was
wasn't. It wasn't. You could. It was released on. It was still released on a televised network, so
yeah.
it wasn't available on any streaming service. It came out in 2015,
Yeah,
and
that's what I was saying. It
Netflix
was
already made
released
a name for
before the
itself.
time. It was released before a time you could binge everything. So it was
Um,
you would watch it episode by episode. And I kind of miss that about TV. I mean about series and stuff. Just waiting every day to watch, like every week coming in regularly scheduled time to go watch this series and watch it like grow and come out, and just it was amazing. I remember I would wait every week to watch again Flash, Arrow, all that stuff. I'll wait and wait for the new episodes. I also did that with anime. I would wait every week to watch Naruto. I would and stuff like that. But it's now becoming a whole thing, like and I know everyone can relate to this. It's becoming like a whole culture of where you just sit down and binge one episode, like you binge one series, and you now, instead of waiting for when's the next like when is this the next episode coming out, you wait for when's the next season coming out.
that
And
helps with curation though,
mm,
because you can judge a series by its merit after an entire season. Whereas
mm,
if it was coming up slowly, you can't really do that because again, episode by episode, you can only judge it one episode at a time. Now you get the full package. You can't because if you're watching an episode a week, you're judging the plate of food by each component. Oh, here's a bite of the steak. Oh, here's some
but I think
potatoes.
that's
Having a
literally the
season one, you
best
can judge
thing.
the entire plate.
I think that's the best thing. I feel that when series can do that, when series had to watch, when you had to watch episode by episode, there was a higher chance that a series would have a season 2 back to back after. Like I know that we have the filming commercial, like they'll have the was it filming break, and then they would release probably the next season or the next half of the first season. But in that they would start and they would just see their reviews coming on, and it's easier to change the story and to change like certain aspects depending on, and you get reviews on it. You get like in the middle of your season, you will get reviews and people will be like, oh, I don't like this part of this episode and stuff. Then they'll like do something to fix it. Whereas
But
if you release everything all at once, I mean, it's good that you like people are more confident in their work. You can actually say, oh, I know my story so well that, and I'm not going to allow it to be swayed by anything. That I'm going to be
that's what I
here's
wanted to bring up,
everything,
like, don't
and
you feel as
I'm
though
gonna
that
give
could
it.
stifle creativity? Like if like you may be building up to something huge at the end of season one, but then the reviews say they don't like where it's going, and you feel have to change that. You could argue that that almost stifles that can stifle creativity in some aspects.
But I mean, it also allows you to, since people don't like the ending the way that it's going, there's more likely for you to kind of change it up and make it even better. You know, there's also that other side of the coin. It doesn't stifle; it actually enhances the story because you have you doing the story for the audience, and now they're able to give their input halfway through the season, and now you see which way the trajectory that the season's going, and be like, okay, cool. If it's going this way, I don't think we should go this way anymore since the audience aren't liking it. Let's just change it up and then do this, you know?
So there's pros and cons to both.
Exactly.
Mm.
I do feel that these stories should have the ability to um like how do I say this? They like back then they had, sorry, not they should, sorry. Let me rephrase that. Stories back then had the ability to change it for the better. Whereas now you have to be confident in your like. I like how the series are now confident in their work. They're able to like release everything all at once, and then they hear the criticism at the end. But the criticism will be much harsher, much larger, you know, and it's like almost hit or miss. You either hit it, you get the series, people love it, or you miss completely. It's a complete flop, and no one likes it. And you just see bad reviews. And fortunately, filmmakers now have been actually doing it right and hitting all the marks. You know, I haven't seen, or for me, I'm picky with the series that I watch. I haven't seen a series that I haven't actually liked. Like binged. I'm currently binging Ratchet, and I've enjoyed this new Netflix series. I enjoyed so much, and I just can't stop watching. I like watch 2 or 3 episodes at once. I also binged The Umbrella Academy. I love it. The second season, beautiful. I recently just finished it like like a week ago, last week. I recently finished it, and it was really good. So it's a hit or miss, you know. In my opinion, I don't think I would be as confident to release all my work at once. You know.
Well, obviously, because they only work in the industry that often. The
Yeah.
directors of those shows, they've been, but I'm pretty sure they've been in the industry for more than a decade
True.
at the point they released the stuff.
True.
Yeah, I don't think I could go back. I don't think I could go back to that era because I don't think I even watched TV for the series that much when things were coming out episode by episode. Like I think a lot of the shows I enjoyed in terms of series, I either ended up seeing snippets at my granny's house with Mnet, but I
Mm.
only ever watched the shows like at home with when they were all available. Like I
Mm.
remember seeing the show on my family's hard drive once when I was small called the 4400. I saw like season one and half of season two. I think there was an episode missing, but that show was very good for what I saw. And because I was young at the time, I don't think I would have actually followed it or remembered it had I been seeing it an
Mm.
episode a week. Like I think a lot of complicated shows they create mystery for the next so that those same mysteries are solved the next episode. But I think sometimes you can't keep up and you may end up losing interest in the show. And I think I would have lost interest in the 4400 and wouldn't have watched all the way through season one had I been
Mm.
seeing it on a week by week basis. I should actually go check out that show again.
Go
It was
rewatch it
pretty
again.
awesome. Like I think there were 4 or 5 seasons. I only saw again season like 1.5 seasons, but yeah, like throughout the 20th century, 4,400 people just disappeared in some vanishing light. Then, at like the turn of the century, these people just all appeared at once, and the mystery is like, where did they go? Why are they here?
Oh, I
And
think I've heard about something like that.
yeah,
I
there's that
think I've
one
seen.
bearded dude who starts a commune, and he basically has it's like a splitting image of Jesus.
But I now that you reminded me of old TV series, I think also one of them that I do cherish is Hero. I started watching it like during lockdown. I really enjoyed the way Hero played out. Like even episode by episode, they had a lot of series. I mean, they had a lot of episodes, but I enjoyed them. I stuck around. I watched the first season. I watched it as a kid. I would like wake up. I would always watch the reruns. No, I would watch them. No, I wouldn't watch the reruns. I would watch them on Saturdays. Yeah, that's when the reruns played, like Saturday morning or something like that. I would always watch the reruns. Always there in the morning, just watching this series. It was so good. Mainly because it was like superheroes and stuff. But I enjoyed that aspect of the film of the series. I enjoyed waiting for that episode, knowing that the next episode like they I think it was really good at keeping cliffhangers when you have that type of format. You could have a really nice cliffhanger, have your audience wait for it, and then bam, they watch the next episode and everything's concluded. You know. Whereas now, if there's a cliffhanger, there's no purpose because now you're just gonna watch the next episode. I think the best thing is like it like you can like people have more time to watch your series. I think people have more like these series have a higher viewer rating because
Mhm.
now they released everything all at once and people
And
are
available
able
to more
to
people
yeah and
because like
available
not
to also more
everyone has
people.
access to USA
Mm,
or Fox News or Fox or the Fox channel or
mm.
FXX or I forgot channels. Okay, not everyone has access to Mnet. Let's or DSTV.
Yeah,
Let's
but
simplify it.
But yes, that the ability now to actually watch a whole series is also really good. Now you can catch up and watch it in one sitting if you're brave enough. You can watch it in one sitting and get everything like clear and then skip on to the next one and continue with your life, you know?
Mm.
Most
Do you
people
think we
most
should
people
end
do
it?
that.
Yeah, right. Do you think we should end it here?
Yeah, we actually have a class that's about to start soon. So
Okay, guys.
let's
Thank
just
you guys
wrap
for
up
listening to our rant
where you can't
about
just
TV shows.
You can't just finish it there. We have to do the traditional film of the week. So I know some of you don't even know this. This we've gotten to the part of the podcast where we give you guys some juicy recommendations for films. Um, this week's films, and these are really good films in my opinion. I've watched them a lot. Um, this week's films are. Let me get this film of the week down. Django.
Django, dude.
The Django? It's
Okay,
Django
do you mean
Unchained. No, it's Django Unchained.
yes?
It's the Django Unchained. It's spelled with a D, dude. Come
So
on. No, okay, so it's Django Unchained, which is really good. We have In the Mood for Love by Wong Kar Wai.
may I make a suggestion? I don't think it's on that list.
Is it not?
It's not, but I'm gonna make a suggestion. We spoke about Jonah Hill last
Why?
time.
Why are we? There's a whole reason why there's a film of the week. Okay, add it. Add it's fine. It's fine. You know, just.
Okay. Well, I remember in one of what's his off streams, he checked out a music video for Danny Brown, directed by Jonah Hill. Jonah Hill made a full-length feature movie in 2018. It's called Mid 90s. It is about a kid who's joining his skating community in Los Angeles in again 1995. It's very good, and you guys should check that out.
So we have again going back. We have Django Unchained, which has director is Quentin Tarantino. So we spoke a little bit about Quentin Tarantino today, and that's one of the movies that I kind of thoroughly enjoyed. It has a lot of gore, it has a lot of violence. We have Mid 90s, which is again Jonah Hill. He's an actor turned director, has actually made a really nice film. And I do think that you guys should watch it out, check it out, and watch it. Whatever. Um, I'm not undermining what you said, Ethan. I'm just trying to get through this list
Oh
so that
yeah,
we can go
sure,
to class.
sure.
We have Catch Me Daddy, which is a really, really good film. Our our friend and director who was on the last week's episode spoke about how Catch Me Daddy was an influence to his short film that he recently shot. It's a really good, gritty, um, hit you in the feels gut punch film. So if you want to watch that, go watch Catch Me Daddy. And the last one, I'm gonna take it a little bit back to the back. I'm taking it back to when the film was still in its infancy stage. This is a black and white movie called the Cranes Are Flying. It's a really heartfelt, very sad movie about a relationship. I think you guys should check it out. It's really, really good, really amazing. Um, and I hope it's worth your time because I do think that this film was really good. So going back from the list, it's Django Unchained or Django Unchained. How
There we go.
how Ethan wants me to pronounce it.
That's how it's pronounced there.
We have we have mid 90s. We have In the Mood for Love, Catch Me Daddy, and The Cranes Are Flying. Those are the movies that we would like you to guys watch. And if you want to watch it, go ahead. If you don't want to watch it, it's totally cool. We all know that you're a busy bunch. But if you want to just have a nice sitting in and watch some fun movies, we know it's still locked down. You guys still want to sit down and watch some movies, go ahead. And that will be us for today. I will be streaming my art stream later on today after my class. So stick around for late on, probably around 2 or maybe 4 or 5 o'clock. So if you come back around 4 or 5, you'll be catching me on my art stream. And thank you for those who have come today. Hopefully, you guys have enjoyed your time, have enjoyed your stay. We will be back next week, and we'll come back with some guests, maybe, hopefully, maybe not. I don't know. I don't know how our schedule's looking and how all our filmmaker friends' schedules are looking, but we shall try get some more guests on. I'd like to, yeah, I'd like to say that please follow our social media pages where we'll update you. We'll have a poll before every episode so that you can ask us questions, certain or like give out certain comments. Or if you want to follow the journey of the film, please go ahead and follow our socials. It's on the screen. And yeah, I don't know what much to say. Besides enjoy your Friday. Catch me on my stream afterwards. And yeah, hopefully you guys have an amazing day. And cheers to all. Ethan, do you have anything else to say?
I'm Gucci, man. Just thanks, guys, for watching, and we hope to see you next week.
Yeah, yeah.